Hi everybody and welcome to Learn Live Streaming Live. My name's John Lacey. Today on the show we're going to be looking at DaVinci Resolve 20.1 and the exciting new features. And I do want to say up front, this isn't going to be a tutorial because I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just want to explore these in real time and maybe get some feedback from our wonderful audience. So we are going out live to all the various places, so please let me know where you're watching from and hey, let me know what your relationship is to DaVinci Resolve. Like, I'm really curious. Is this some software that you've been using? Is it something you may be a little bit curious about? If you've been on this channel for a hot minute, you'll know it's something I'm very excited about. I did buy the speed editor, which came with the studio version of DaVinci. So I'm really excited about it. But again, I don't have a lot of time to learn this stuff, unfortunately. But somebody who does, who is in the audience, and I appreciate him being here, is Business Growth Ready, who says good day. So we're going to explore these features together in real time. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least. Hello to Ender Trading, who's visiting from Vietnam this morning. Good morning to you as well. So before we get into all the DaVinci Resolve stuff, I just want to say, okay, cool. I'll check in on the chat again in a second, but before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's ever subscribed to this channel. We're up to 800 subscribers and I think 5,000 watch hours, YouTube stuff. I did post about it in all the various places earlier today, but it sort of blows my mind because I've just been doing this for a couple of years and I really appreciate anybody that wants to hang out and, you know, share the knowledge. So Business Growth Ready says, been off DaVinci for about 2 weeks, needed to catch up on some web design stuff. Yep. And I mean, that's kind of literally the space in which I think this 20.1 version has been released. Ender writes, I have used DaVinci Resolve, but when CapCut came out, I switched. It has everything I need. Yeah, CapCut is good software, but some of their updated terms and conditions made me a little bit nervous. So I just sort of decided to leave. But, you know, whatever works. And again, the great thing about DaVinci is there is a free version. It is really, really powerful. It does all the things, so you probably don't need to upgrade. But there is a little bit of a learning curve. It seems to be the catch cry of this channel is that we do techie, nerdy things, and you do need to learn them. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my screen. I didn't test this earlier, but hopefully it's fine. All right, so this is the Blackmagic forum, and they're talking about the release of DaVinci Resolve 20.1. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, some of it which is specifically about Apple, which, you know, not being a Mac guy, I probably will skip over. But we've got some updates to the cut and edit pages. One of those I'm really, really excited about. Some of these I probably will never get around to playing with, but it is what it is. This one's really interesting, and I've never, again, this is kind of a Mac thing, but I'm told that some of the Mac software, you know, if you press the C key, the playhead, I suppose, moves to wherever you've got the cursor, which it's not immediately obvious to me why that would be useful, but apparently it's a feature in other software that people have been begging for a really, really long time. Audio and video only insert controls in the source viewer is potentially quite a nice thing as well. Fusion page has got a lot going on it. Again, the one I kind of am obsessed with, because I do have the paid version of DaVinci Resolve, is Magic Mask version 2. And it wasn't available in Fusion, but it is now. So we might have a look at that one as well. I don't spend a lot of time in the color page, I will admit, but they've got some improvements over there as well, and some FX and the Fairlight page. So the support for half-speed timeline playback, which is interesting. Action to enable focus mode using the W key. Ability to record in 32-bit floating point. This is really interesting, and we'll come back to this. So we've got faster audio assistant, dialogue matching, all of the things. Some really, really nerdy stuff in here. So I'm not going to dwell on too much of these. And I guess we're going to have a bit of a play today. And it's fairly unstructured. But let's go over to, I'll just minimize this. And we'll go over to DaVinci Resolve. And I'm going to start a new project. And I will call it Demo for 201. All right, so there's a lot happening here, and I'm going to have to make up some examples on the fly, which is totally fine. This is just how we roll. It's pretty casual on the weekend. First of all, I'm going to drag a file over onto my media pool, and hopefully it will load. All right, and I can drag that onto my timeline. And it's a little slow for me today. And it's fascinatingly, the thing about this, I guess, is, and they've sort of identified this as perhaps being a little bit of a bug, that it literally only shows for like a couple of frames when we do this. But what I might do, I will delete that from up here. I think there's also an option over here. So, okay. So I'm just going to throw that up here. And I've got my image here. So, you know, it's not terribly exciting that there's an image on my time frame, you know, that, you know, images are very common. But the thing about this one particularly is this is actually a WEBP image. So this is a Google format, really compressed version. And if you're downloading images from the web, there's a really good chance you'll get some of these. And the great thing about this now is that you can actually use them directly in your projects. You don't need to go and convert them to other things. Okay, so Business Growth Ready writes the C key also works on Windows. Yes. No, what I meant was that I believe the functionality originated with some Mac specific video editors. I've never heard of it. That's all. So just to give you an example of this, if I move my, and it might be better to do this in the actual edit page. So if I move my mouse cursor over here and I hit the C, you'll see that's where the playhead goes. Again, and it's probably just a preference, but for me, I can just click and it will go there. So I don't really understand what the benefit of that is, but it's a thing that's apparently available in other software that people have been asking for, and I guess it was easy enough to implement, so they've done that. So I guess the other thing about this, and I don't really have a good example, so I'm going to just really quickly bring something up in the background, is that if you make changes to an image file that you're using in your project and you resave this, it should update automatically. So let's just try that really quickly. And I'm just in Affinity Designer. I'm just going to add some text and say hello. And let's add some more text. And I will say Business Growth Ready. Although I'm going to have to make that much, much smaller for it to fit on the screen. Say about 80 points. It's probably very little. So again, this is not going to be the most exciting example in the world, but if we have this image, and I'm just going to export this, and I'll just call this hello.png. All right, so now if we go back to DaVinci, and I'm just going to find this on my computer really quickly. And I probably just drag that onto the timeline. We've got the image there. It says, hello, Business Growth Ready. Again, not the most exciting example in the world, but if I go back to Affinity and I update this to be into trading, and I'm going to export this and just make sure we save it over the top of the other file and go back to DaVinci Resolve and give it a moment to catch up, it should theoretically update this. There we go. So I had to move the cursor a little bit, but essentially if you made some changes to files, they can update really, really quickly. You don't need to go and sort of remove it and bring it back in again. So that in itself, you know, it could be a useful thing. It could be that maybe you've got a thumbnail and you're playing around with it and you go, oh, actually, I want a slightly different version of this somewhere in my video. You can just go and find that original file and make changes to that and not have to worry about bringing it back into the project. And that, you know, because it's an image and you've already sort of specified some sort of duration, that will all be the same as well. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can find some footage on my computer. It doesn't really matter too much what it is right now. Let's go to literally anything. Doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so I'm just going to drag a video in here. And I can put this on my timeline. Okay, that's probably the worst example I could have picked out of that entire folder. So let me try that again. Let me try this one. All right. So this is just a video about how to bring captions into YouTube if memory serves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to... in fact, before we get there, let's paint the picture a little bit. So if we go into the Fusion page, you know, we've got our nodes here. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I've done some stuff on this in the past if you want to go and look in the archives about this. But essentially, one of the really cool things about this is that we can go Shift and Space and bring in whatever kind of tools we want to have in here. So, you know, I can't think of a good example right now, but, you know, if you wanted to have a chroma key there, for example, again, not great for this particular footage, or a generator, we can do that in there as well. The great thing is now with 20.1, they've actually extended this functionality so you can use it in more places, including this place here, right where I am at the moment, the edit page. So if I go Shift and Space, I say they're doing this. I'm not really sure. Let's, okay. So yeah, I can sort of bring in fades. I can bring in different effects. So maybe blur. I can do this. And depending on what you're actually adding here, whether it's a generator or an effect or a transition, this will work a little bit differently. But, you know, if I put my, let's say a directional blur on here, I've got the blur there. I probably need to actually show the inspector to see more of the effects here, and I could tweak that. I'm just going to undo that one. So if I were to actually just cut this footage here and do this again, so Shift Space, and I'm not really sure what a good a transition would be here. Let's say maybe fade on. And you'll see that it's brought it here. In this case, it might have been better if I was positioned where this needed to be. Oh, okay. So in this case, this fade on is actually a treatment of some text. I really, and I'm going to undo that because I just deleted some footage accidentally. So what I might do, because I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point in time, but transitions, video transitions. So let's go with one of these iris ones. So again, I'll just move this where I think it should go, and I'm going to go Shift Space, and if I go iris, maybe cross iris would be a good way to go, and you'll see that it's created that fade there. And we could sort of go in and extend those pointers there, but if I hit play, you'll see that it does whatever it does here. And again, it's because it's actually the same footage, it's not very dramatic, but potentially we could go in and make this longer. But again, what I might do, I'll get rid of that one. Let's just see what other effects. So maybe even a push or a slide or something might be better. I'm determined to make this work. So we'll go push. And again, let's bring that out a bit. Okay. And so there's something a little bit more dramatic that we can actually see with the same footage. So you've got that there as well. Hello to Art Freak. Thank you for joining us. So we're just exploring some features in DaVinci Resolve 20.1. And again, I said this at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to say it again. This is not really a tutorial because I don't really know what I'm doing yet. So we're just exploring exciting new things. So what I'm going to do, I'll see if I can, I'll just undo that one as well. So I guess the other options we have too are things like generators. So if we wanted gradient lines, for example, I can sort of bring this in where I decide I want it, shift and space, and we will go gradient lines, and we'll put that on top. And Art Freak writes, I low-key just started out too. Yeah, it's funny because I wanted to get involved in DaVinci Resolve for years and years and years, and I just didn't get around to it. And then I did, and I have a very busy life and a full-time job, and it's hard to find the time to learn all this stuff. But we're just exploring today together. So if you do have any questions, we can probably suss them out together. There are some great people in the chat as well that can do that. So I guess what I really wanted to call out is that we do have this ability to hold down the shift key. And again, it helps if I'm on the right window, hold down the shift key, hit the space button, and you do have all these options that you can search for. And essentially, it's just a way of finding these things that we have in the toolbox over here. So we can insert, we can insert text, we can add filters. In fact, let's see what other exciting, other the video transitions, open effects. What have we got in here? Anything exciting? Contrast pop. Let's try that one. So I'll go contrast pop. And again, you'll probably just find that you'll, once you practice this, you probably will get a little bit better at just doing this with the keyboard. So we've got all those weird and wonderful features. So what I'm going to do, and Art Freak writes, funnily enough, I only started out because I told my teacher that it's just on my PC and I haven't used it yet. Yep. And the teacher said that it was super good. It really is super good. Like, you do need to learn it. You do need to have a computer that can handle it. But in all other regards, it's really, really good. And, there are some features that aren't available in the free version, but there are so few of them that I think it's a really powerful way of getting started. So we can do that there. What I'm going to do now, and again, I'm completely unprepared for this as well, shockingly enough. I'm going to click on my, just a little short segment of this video, and I'm actually going to go into the Fusion tab. So Fusion, this is where it can get really complicated and overwhelming very quickly. So I don't really want you to dwell on this too much. If you don't want to use Fusion, you don't have to use Fusion. But that is sort of often where the animation and the really fun stuff happens. But what I'm going to try to do here, and again, I have no faith in my ability to do this, but we're going to figure it out together. I'm going to go Shift and Space. And again, it brings up our tools as well. I'm going to go Magic Mask. And is that version 2? I have a feeling that's not version 2. So let's just see if we can find it here. It'll be one of these magical options. Map control, transform, multi-merge. Okay. So I don't know if, I have a weird feeling this isn't necessarily what I'm looking for, but let's just give it a go. Let's add our magic mask. And this is the next fun part because I have to actually, in fact, what I might do, let's get rid of that. Because I really want to put it in here, I think. Just see if that'll work. Okay, not really. So I think I've got to match these up. So this will get really messy, probably, but we'll give it a go. No. Okay. So now we've got this here. Again, everything's disappeared, which makes me a little bit nervous. I'm going to go better. I can't see anything at all here, which is joyful. Which probably means I've messed this up well and truly. So what we might do in the background, I'm just going to look up some documentation on this. So Magic Mask version 2 in Fusion. All right, maybe we won't do that. All right. So theoretically it works there. I'm going to have to go and do some research and watch some other YouTube videos at another time to sort of suss this out a little bit more. But that's just the joy of the process. I will show you actually what we can do. Let's undo all of this. And I'm going to go back to the edit page. I just want to show you how this actually works in the color page. And again, I haven't done this in a few weeks either, so this will be interesting. But essentially, what we can do is I can go space shift and I'll go magic mask. No. AI magic mask. That's what I want. Okay, cool. And I kind of just want to signify what I want to keep. And in this case, I will draw a few dots on myself here in this corner. And probably what I want to do is I want to toggle the mask overlay. So you'll see that I've got that red color, which is showing essentially what is being highlighted here. So I will go and do this, track this forward and reverse. And we'll see it'll do its thing. Again, this is happening on your local computer. So again, if you've got a 10-year-old computer, this is probably not going to give you a lot of joy. And I should say too, this is a paid feature of DaVinci Resolve. This is not in the free version. So now if I go in here and right click and go add alpha output and drag this over here, we should theoretically just get that when we go back. So actually if I turn this off, yeah, there we go. So you'll see that it's kind of cut me out here, and it'll be more obvious if I actually go back to here and maybe add a track. For my purposes, I'm just going to drag that up here. So if we did have one of our generators, I could just literally put something in here. Probably just drag it out. And again, you can see that it's just cut me out and put, and I've got that there. So that's a really fun feature that I like exploring, although I genuinely haven't had time to film enough footage to really use it properly. So Art Freak writes, I've been using CapCut, but you know, you got to get professional. Yeah, I don't mind CapCut as a piece of software. Their company did update their terms and conditions, and some of that did sound a little bit scary about using your likeness forever. So I've kind of jumped off the CapCut thing, but it is something to be mindful of. So hey, is it also a thing for you that sometimes the audio just lags out? Tell me more about that. I'm not really sure what you mean. All right, so let's go back to our magical list of things here, because I just want to see what other exciting things we can explore. So support for Magic Mask version 2 in Fusion. So I don't know. That's gonna drive me nuts, and I feel bad that I haven't had time to sort of figure that out properly. So I'm gonna try one more time. Let's just see if we can suss this out together. I'm gonna move these in here. Because there is actually another masking option in here, or there was previously. I'm just not sure where exactly. Merge 3D. So those are the 3D ones. What do we got over here? Backgrounds, fast noise, text plus, paint, color corrector, color curves, brightness control. All right, so I'm actually gonna type in AI mask, magic mask, mask paint. Okay. All right, so Art Freak writes, so basically when I import an audio, I'm trying to make the reel and the audio after some replays of the video, it just like mid-song stops playing and continues and just does that for the rest of the time, and I have to reset DaVinci. I haven't personally experienced that, but it you know, it could be a reflection of, you know, just how many resources that DaVinci uses on your computer. I'm not really sure, to be honest, about that one. It's interesting. I've not encountered that one myself, but it's probably worth checking out. So what I'm going to try and do, I'm just going to do exactly what I did previously. Oh, okay. It seems like it might have been a little bit. I'm going to change that to better, actually, because faster doesn't seem to give me too much joy. So, and I can sort of, okay. Look, I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna track forward and then reverse, and we'll just see what happens. Obviously, if you can't get a good read on this, it'll usually do a pretty good job of it, but you can always come in and sort of tweak things if you need to. No. I'm not really sure. Okay, so I'm not doing that. Okay. So again, we just have to wait for it to do its thing. So Business Growth Ready writes, I normally get lagging or a molasses style performance if I'm using one of my old NAS drives as a source of the media spinning disk. Yeah, that's a good point. So potentially where your media is stored, what device could make a difference. Art Freak writes, it hasn't done it a lot recently, but just wanted to know if it was a common error. Yeah, like I said, it's not one I've really come across myself, but yeah, it might be worth checking out. By the way, Business Growth Ready, who's in the chat, does have another account called Reluctant Creators, and he has been doing some really good DaVinci Resolve tutorials over there. So I definitely recommend you check that out. So if It's funny, and this is kind of a classic example where it's quite clearly got some text in the background that I don't really want. So what I'd probably do... Oh, no, it's still going, apparently. That is weird. Stop tracking. So yeah, it does seem like that's a lot slower in the Fusion tab for whatever reason. So I'll let it do its thing in the background, but while we're waiting for that, let's go back and check out some of these other things that we've got in here. So for the Fusion page specifically, support for new immersion option in the Viewer 360 Views menu, support for new immersive patcher tool, the Magic Mask version 2, which we're looking at right now, support for caching deep composites to disk, option to downscale clip compositions to timeline resolution. That one is potentially quite useful. So we've got a whole bunch of things in here. And again, I guess that's the other thing in the way that I talk about DaVinci Resolve in OBS being a bit of a rocket ship in the sense that it can do anything. You know, we do also have a lot of features in here, and there's a really good chance if you're just an editor, you know, you can pretty much live in the cut and edit page. You probably could just live in the edit page, frankly. And that's kind of the experience I started with because it was familiar. Compared to things like CapCut or Camtasia even. We could just sort of work from this place. And that's a really good place. Like, to be really honest, a lot of the time, all you need to do is bring in your video, your audio, bring it together, add some cuts, put in some effects, and you're good to go. And then you can hit the Deliver tab, which is where we export all of this. So that is something that we can do as well. Okay, so I'm really curious if that actually finished doing its thing or not, because I got a bit impatient and I started going to different places. Yeah. Okay. I think that probably didn't work, so... That is weird. And I think DaVinci is being a bit weird now. I might even just stop this for a second. Okay. So, like, I guess the take-home message there is Magic Mask version 2, if that's what that was, seems to be a lot slower in Infusion than it is on the color page. So take that for what it's worth. I guess the other thing I just want to say, so Art Freak says, right now I'm trying to find the perfect song for this new reel. And as much as I love editing in DaVinci Resolve, you do need to be a little bit mindful that when you're using commercial music for reels, that you do it through the destination, like the place that you're doing it, because they have licensing arrangements with the music companies. So you kind of almost want to do the bulk of your editing in DaVinci, export it without the music, then go into TikTok or YouTube Shorts, and then sort of manually add the music in through that process. Otherwise, you probably are going to be hit by some pretty annoying copyright claims. So just keep that in mind. All right. So I'm sure there are other exciting things we can explore here, but I'm just not sure which would be the best one to explore next, because there are some wonderful things. So I guess let's just recap some of the things that we have looked at already. So first of all, we have the ability to use WEBP format images. So that is often a compressed version of an image you'll find online. It's a Google format. You can insert those straight into your timeline or the cut page, and you're good to go. The other thing we looked at is that if you do insert an image into your project and you go and make some changes to this image and export it again, and we go back to DaVinci Resolve, and we give this a second to update, it should actually update that image as well. So if you've got images and maybe they're not final images, maybe a graphic designer is still tweaking with them, we can do different things there. The other thing about this, and look, is that sort of shift space functionality that we used to in Fusion is available in a lot of different places now. So depending on what you're doing this for, we can insert these transitions, generators, effects here as well. So maybe if I wanted to insert a blur, and I could maybe have a motion blur. And whatever happens when I was trying to actually do that magic mask has slowed this down completely. So I'm going to just actually close out of DaVinci. I'm going to go back in and let's just start again, because I think it's doing some weird things and I don't love it. And of course, if you do want to check out DaVinci Resolve, the free version is available for free, as the name suggests. If you're interested in exploring more of the features, you can check out DaVinci Resolve Studio. The other really cool thing about, and I've mentioned this in the show in the past, and there's so much random stuff on my desk. I really want to pick something up and show you, but I'm a little scared of what mess that may make. So I'm going to try and move some things out of the way. Ooh, and I'm about to send my coffee flying, which is not a good look. So this is the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. So this is an amazing piece of hardware that lets you, edit more quickly. As the name will suggest, we've got a track wheel that'll sort of go through different things. We can do multicam, we can do some fast edits. And the great thing is, if you purchase this device, you'll actually get the paid version of DaVinci Resolve for free, essentially. So they come together, and that's essentially what I did. I really wanted this device, so I paid for that. And it's one of those things that DaVinci Resolve, even if you do pay for it, it's kind of a one-time payment. It's not like some those other companies where you pay every month for the rest of time. And I do really appreciate that. So here we are in DaVinci Resolve Studio 20. I'm going to create a new project, and we'll say Demo 2. And again, let's see if I can find some different, more interesting footage this time. What have we got? All right, I'm just going to drag. It's sort of a completed video, but we'll play with it for today. Sure, let's change the frame rate. That's fine. All right, I'm gonna actually, before I do that, just because and I'm not necessarily suggesting Art Freak runs out and buys one of these, but I just want to show everybody because I'm just obsessed with this and it's really fun. So if I hit the source button, it'll actually put my clip into the viewer there, and I've got the ability to jog, which is sort of go through the video. And again, I know you guys aren't hearing the audio, but I am, so that can be really helpful. So what I can do is I can come into a point and I'll go, this is where I want to start. So I'm going to hit the in key, which is one of these big white keys on this device. I'm going to scroll till I reach the end of that segment, and I can see that in the waveform, and I can hit out, and then I can go smart insert, and it'll add that to my timeline. And again, I can sort of go back into my timeline now, and I can do all of that really, really quickly with the speed editor. And it is an investment. I think it was like 500 and something Australian dollars when I purchased it. So, but it comes with the software. It is really cool. It's sort of, it'll change your life if you do a lot of video editing software, a lot of video editing. I can go back to the source. I can sort of escape, okay, so if I double click on the in and out, essentially we're clearing those points. I can scroll through. I'm going to scroll through a long, long way. In fact, what I can do is I can go from jog to scroll, and scroll will show me the whole waveform. So maybe here's where I want to start my next clip. And I should say too that I recorded most of this tutorial in OBS as well. So a lot of those transitions to the screen share are happening in real time, but I can go smart insert. I can bring that bit of the clip in. I can clear those. I can go to sort of the end where I'm actually demonstrating this outside to show you how far away I can be from this microphone. And again, I'm making very, very crass cuts here that probably wouldn't make sense in the real world, but just I don't want to make you sit through me actually editing this. So I'm just going to pick a point and insert it. And you can see that we've taken our 3 clips there. They're all good to go. There are actually other things you can do where you can insert things on top. So if I was, I go back to my timeline, for example, and maybe around here, I wanted to insert some other footage, like as a bit of an overlay. So again, I'll take that same clip that I've already used at the end, and instead of going smart insert, I'm going to go place on top, and you'll see that that's actually again, I've got to make sure I'm on the timeline. So I'm talking, then we see that it does include the audio as well. There are ways of just doing that with just the visuals. So I could do those really quickly, and then I can sort of go into the edit page and finesse some of that stuff as well. Okay, I like this question quite a lot. So all right, so is OBS actually good for recording? It's good for specific things. And again, as someone who does a lot of software tutorial videos, it's really good for that and going live. Obviously, you need a computer to use OBS Studio. So if you're out in the wild capturing stuff, you probably don't want to do it in that way. I mean, you could potentially if you wanted to, but it's really good for sort of live streaming and doing local recordings. I have a whole podcast called OBS Obsessed on this YouTube channel. I'm not really sure if you're watching on YouTube or somewhere else because it's got all the comments together. But if you're interested, you can definitely check that out. Artfreak also writes, don't know if you actually do video and stuff, but I'll tell you, DJI is the best, and the formats coming from it work really well with DaVinci. Yep, cool. So I guess like in this particular video, I'm actually demonstrating these little Rode Wireless Micro mics, which are really, they're really cool. They're really fun, and they sound really good. So there are lots of other mics out there as well that can be really good. And in typical style, Business Growth Ready has probably summarized this much better than I could. So he writes, OBS is also great for pre-editing, so you can create your own show, flow, title, graphics, overlays, and live edit as you record. Worth watching John's stream next week. Yes, I need to. I kind of been a little bit rusty on the OBS content lately, but I'll try and bring something out next week. Personally, I use Streamlabs for streaming. Well, you know, Streamlabs desktop was actually built off OBS, so they're very similar. So if you're happy using that one, by all means, stick with it. That's not a drama, but they literally started out as the same piece of software. And Streamlabs sort of forked OBS, and they made their own changes. And I think in some ways, the changes they've made are an attempt to make it a little bit easier to use. And I think that's really cool. So, you know, you've got that as well. Yeah, that's all good. So I guess getting back to this project, which I'm totally just making up as I go along. But again, for the thing that I'm sort of most excited about here, if I go shift, and I need to learn what these transitions are and what my options actually are. So again, I really like the idea of actually having that push come in here. So I might do that. So I'm pressing shift and space, and I will go, I might even try slice push. That looks intriguing. I don't know. That's kind of a bit hokey, truth be told. And again, I can sort of go through my timeline with the jog wheel on the speed editor because I've got that here. So I'm gonna try that again. Slide. I can't type in real time. Like slide down might be interesting. Let's try that. Okay. I don't know. I mean, potentially I could make that longer. That might make it more interesting. Okay, that really isn't great for that purpose, so we will ignore that. So we've got all these different effects, and I think, like, really, if you're a beginner, all you need to, all you really need to do is make some cuts, maybe a little bit of transition, maybe some text, you know, and you're good to go. Okay, so Art Freak is saying, stabilization with full smooth is crazy good. Yeah, awesome. And again, there's so many features that are kind of buried in here that I genuinely don't know how to use them all yet. But certainly stabilization is, and it's kind of turned on by default, which is interesting. We can sort of zoom in and change the perspective and follow specific things. There's all kinds of amazing stuff in here. And I guess I love this. Art Freak writes, I'm always kind of shaky, so it's super cool. Yeah, and I must admit, I don't do a lot of outside recording. And the first time I sort of took my phone out and made an attempt at that, I was amazed at how much it was shaking. Like I couldn't hold it still to save myself. And I've built a bit of a mobile rig thing. And I don't know if I've got that handy to show you, actually. Let me just have a quick look. Nope, not that one. Okay. I don't know that I do. So I kind of, I know it's here somewhere. And I kind of had a button for this on my Stream Deck, but I've been moving things around lately, so I don't have everything that I normally have. But, yeah, so I mean it is. Yeah. So you're doing an edit for a wedding, so you kind of have to be there. Absolutely, yeah, of course. And I guess like the other thing is just tripods and you know, the DJI thing that you referenced earlier. Oh, so you're creating reels out of the wedding footage. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, this is amazing software. Again, there are two sort of things I think you need to keep in mind at all times. One is simply it can be a little overwhelming. There are so many things, and I try to tell people just focus on the handful of things that you'll need because I've probably explored maybe 2 or 3% of this software, and it's fine. Like that's all I need to make videos and put them out there. But I'm conscious of the fact that if sometime in the future I want to do 3D compositing, I've got that here. I can learn how to do that. I can work with that. So this is software that will grow with you. And again, you know, at the moment, it's fun too, because I guess the other thing too is if I hover over these visual effects, they'll actually show me what they look like before I commit to them, which is really actually quite useful. I don't know that I love those kinds of fades, to be honest, but it is sort of interesting nonetheless. So we've got the dissolves, got the blur dissolve, cross dissolve, the motion, you know, you could play with this stuff all day. Hearts. Again, if you're of a certain age, you might... my first video editing software was Microsoft Movie Maker, and it was diabolically awful. And I think after it crashed for the 20th time that day, I went and bought some other software from a local computer store. And it's amazing how far we've come since then. Even that's... I like that. That's kind of trippy. But a lot of the time, you just want an edit that's subtle, and a blur and a fade is usually what you want most of the time. These things can be fun, but they can also be kind of distracting. And you do have to think about whether it's actually worthwhile sort of doing it in that regard. But I guess the other thing about DaVinci Resolve is you just need to make sure that your computer can handle it, because you know, it's going to process a lot of stuff. There is actually, like with the studio version, it'll generate captions for you as well. But again, that's happening on your local computer. It's not happening in the cloud. And on the one hand, you do need to be conscious of that your computer can actually deal with that. But also, the thing I love is it's not feeding your personal information back to a larger LLM, large language model. So if you have company secrets in your videos, you don't really want those to be going to the internet as a whole. So yeah, there's all kinds of things we can do there. We've got our generators, of course. Yeah. So, yep. And Business Growth Ready writes, it's amazing how many tacky effects were actually really cool in the early 1980s, so the editor thought. And I used to teach some visual design stuff, and the thing is, when you've got a complete newbie, they want to use all the colors and all the effects, and a lot of the thing about learning to design visually is learning to actually have a lot of restraints and only use a handful of colors and only use 1 or 2 fonts. And it's amazing how many people will just want like just a full page of rainbow gradients and stuff. And they used to print them out back in the day. And it's, yeah, you know, in some ways you really do want to use these very sparingly, because they can be fun, but they can also be really just... they can be distracting. And I, you know, the thing for me is I'm hoping that people who experience my content get something out of it that isn't, oh, you know, what an amazing, you know, blur effect there was at minute 3 or whatever. And I think some people can get really hung up on that. And like sometimes it can be cool. Like you can have a bit of a pattern interrupt, especially if you're scrolling TikTok and something wacky happens and you're like, what was that? That can be really awesome. But again, you just need to be mindful about how you do those things. All right. So I don't know that I've really explored very much of this, and I do need to go and watch like a million YouTube videos to get a better sense of this. I guess the keyframing thing was interesting. And again, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Business Growth Ready. we've got this keyframe panel, and it's got all the properties that you can possibly animate. In fact, let me just make sure I'm here. So I can potentially, and I don't even, I like, this is not going to be a good use case. I'm going to tell you that up front, but essentially what I can do is I can come in and I can put in some keyframes. I can move a little bit. I probably need to click on this thing to make this editable, and then maybe I can move this over here, and you'll see that it's already sort of changed those. So now we've got that. That's really not a great use case because I'm moving much of my video off the canvas, which is not really what you would want to do. But the point is that we can actually edit them from this keyframe editor, and I believe you can adjust the curves to make it smoother or more dramatic. I haven't done a lot of this, and to be honest, from the kind of videos I make, I probably will never need this. The only times I've really done the keyframe thing was creating sort of overlays like this one here, where I press this magical button and it says like and subscribe. And I did that in the Fusion page, and there are several videos on my YouTube channel if you want to see how you can do that. But yeah, it's Art Freak writes, I used keyframes, but I'm not so sure how I'm supposed to use it. So again, a lot of this stuff, you don't really need to worry about it too much. Like if there are actually things that you need to change in the properties, you know, so let's say zoom, for example. If we start here, and if I click on this one, and I'm going to say we're going to keyframe for this, and then maybe here I will go, I don't know, not 2 because that's probably too dramatic, but if I go like that, you'll see that essentially between those 2 points, it's going to zoom in the video. And again, that's not a great example because nobody needs to see me that up close probably. But the idea is that we can just sort of pick these 2 points and we can animate these properties. And most of this you can actually just do from the inspector. So it's only if you want to get really particular about different things that you can sort of do how that goes. So even here, I'm gonna make this a lot smaller because it's insane. Let's go 1.2. And then again, maybe I want to reach a point where I go, actually here, let's go back to 1. So let's just do that. And then if I play through this video, you'll see that it's sort of slowly zooming in. And then it's, I think I must have actually done something extra there because it sort of does glitch in a weird place. And maybe this, in fact, this is the point at which this actually is kind of useful because there are 2 frames here. And that's the zoom in, and I guess that's the zoom out. But why it starts at a different place, I'm not sure. So that was 1.75. Okay. So probably what I want to do here is change this to 1.2. So now, if we play through, again, I know it's just it's sort of zooming in, and then we'll zoom out again. And again, it kind of just depends on what you're doing as to whether that makes sense. And Business Growth Ready says, I did 4 pieces coming together as a jigsaw puzzle effect in Apple Motion. I'll have to have a bash at doing that in DaVinci. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. I'd love to see that. And of course, for people of a certain age, Business Growth Ready writes, good old word art issued in church newsletters, rainbow vomit. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So essentially, you know, and we can sort of adjust all these properties, and that's the thing. Like it can probably get a little weird, but we do have all kinds of properties that we can potentially come in and crop and zoom and stabilize and do all of the things. So we can do that there. And again, I'm not really sure. In fact, let me just see if I can suss this out. So this is, I believe, these are for the keyframe. So parameters, the keyframe, here we go. So this is actually the curves. So at the moment, it's quite a steady sort of zoom in and then zoom out again type of thing. But I believe we should be able to adjust these curves. I'm not really sure how though. So I mean, I can adjust these in this way, which probably not really what I'm looking for. If I right click, does it give me any options? There we go. So if I right click, I can do ease in and ease out. So if I go ease in on that one and maybe ease out on this one. It worked really well for the first one, but it's not letting me do it for the second one. Actually, maybe I need to be on a particular point. Let's go ease in and ease out. And you'll see that it kind of, the speed at which this stuff happens will vary a little bit. But again, this is really a terrible example because, you know, you would never do that. Or at least I probably wouldn't do that, but maybe you would. I don't know. So we've got that there as well. Again, it's not a place I spend a lot of time in, but it is there if you want to explore it. So potentially what I could even do is I'm just going to see if I can delete all of that and then we'll just go back to normal. But again, you can sort of do that. You still do that particularly in the inspector. So that's where you want to explore those properties. But you can sort of finesse them there as well. All right. And again, if you're doing a lot more animation stuff, that probably would be really worthwhile checking out. But like I said, for me, I really do some very basic stuff. And even with OBS, I do some very basic stuff. And I feel like I'm running out of ways of describing that stuff in particularly interesting ways. But anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, we're sort of reaching the end of the hour, so I'm going to start wrapping up now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Currently sitting on 800 subscribers, which kind of blew my mind when I noticed that earlier today, and 5,000 hours of watch time according to YouTube. So I really appreciate the people that come and hang out. I hope you've learnt a little bit today. Admittedly, it's probably not as much as we normally do because I'm still making sense of all this stuff myself, but hopefully I'll know more in the future and be able to relay that to you as well. But have a great week. Have a great weekend when you get there. Don't forget to subscribe, and next week hopefully we will have some OBS content. But again, I'm always looking for a good OBS topic. So if there's something you want to know about using OBS Studio, any plugins you want me to explore, let me know because I really am running out of ideas. But thank you so much for being here. Have a great day, and I will talk to you again very, very soon.